Purpose is not a dream waiting for approval. It is an assignment already authorized by the manufacturer before you took your first breath. Let me submit to you today something that will challenge everything you've been taught about waiting, permission, and the path to your destiny. The greatest tragedy in human history is not that millions have died. It's that millions have lived their entire lives waiting for someone to tell them they're allowed to become who they already are. You see, the manufacturer doesn't create products and then wait for committee approval before activating them. When God made you, He didn't submit your design to a focus group. He didn't poll your neighbors about whether your purpose was acceptable. He didn't ask your critics for permission to deposit greatness inside you. Yet here you are, decades into your existence, still waiting for validation that heaven already provided the moment you drew breath. This is the fundamental lie that has imprisoned more potential than any dictator, destroyed more dreams than any disaster, and buried more brilliance than any grave. We have been taught that purpose requires permission, that destiny demands approval, that before you can walk in your assignment, you must first collect signatures from people who don't even understand your design. Let me tell you what the manufacturer never programmed into your original specifications: the need for human authorization to fulfill divine assignment. You were not created with a permission chip. You were manufactured with an activation code, and the only signature required to execute your purpose was already placed on your birth certificate by heaven itself. But religion told you to wait. Culture taught you to conform. Society convinced you that your uniqueness was a problem to be fixed rather than a solution to be released. And so you've spent years, decades even, asking people who are lost themselves to give you directions, seeking approval from individuals who haven't discovered their own purpose to validate yours, waiting for permission from systems designed to keep you in line, not launch you into destiny. I want to challenge your thinking today. What if the very act of seeking permission for your purpose is evidence that you've forgotten your manufacturer's design? What if waiting for approval is actually rebellion against your original assignment? Consider this truth carefully. When a seed falls to the ground, does it conduct surveys to determine if the soil approves of it becoming a tree? Does it form a committee to vote on whether its growth is convenient for the surrounding plants? Does it wait for the forest to give permission before it splits open and reaches toward its destiny? Absolutely not. The seed contains manufacturer specifications. Embedded within its DNA is the complete blueprint for what it was designed to become. And when conditions align, it doesn't seek permission. It seeks soil. It doesn't ask for approval. It activates its assignment. The seed operates on a higher authority than the opinions of its environment. It answers to the manufacturer who placed forests inside something small enough to hold in your hand. You are that seed. But you've been programmed to believe that your environment gets a vote on your destiny, that your critics have veto power over your calling, that before you can grow into the tree you were designed to become, you must first satisfy the insecurities of people who are threatened by your potential. This is not kingdom thinking. This is slave mentality. And I'm here to interrupt that programming before you waste another year waiting for permission that will never come. Let me expose the layers of this deception. You were taught that humility means minimizing yourself. That being considerate means shrinking your dreams to fit other people's comfort zones. That wisdom requires you to wait until everyone agrees before you move into your assignment. These are lies wrapped in religious language, disguised as virtue, but functioning as chains. True humility is not denying your greatness. It's acknowledging its source. Real consideration is not abandoning your purpose to please people. It's fulfilling your assignment so effectively that it serves humanity. Genuine wisdom is not waiting for consensus. It's understanding that the manufacturer's yes is the only vote that counts. The enemy of your destiny is not opposition, it's permission addiction. You have become dependent on approval like an addict needs a substance. You cannot make a move without checking if people are comfortable. You cannot pursue your dream without polling your circle to see if they think you're ready. You cannot step into your calling without first getting a thumbs up from individuals who are themselves stuck. This is not preparation, this is paralysis. And it's killing more potential than persecution ever could. Here's what you need to understand about purpose and permission. Purpose is an assignment, not an achievement. Achievements require you to prove yourself worthy. Assignments assume you're already equipped. When the manufacturer gives you purpose, he doesn't say earn it. He says execute it. You don't have to become qualified. You were manufactured, qualified. Your birth was your authorization. Your existence is your permission slip. The fact that you're alive means heaven already voted yes on your assignment. Now the only question is, will you? But you've been waiting for your parents to approve. They won't, because your purpose threatens their comfort. Waiting for your peers to validate. They can't. Because your assignment exposes their excuses. Waiting for your circumstances to align perfectly. They never will. Because faith requires you to move before conditions confirm. Waiting for your fear to subside. It won't. Because courage is not the absence of fear, it's obedience despite it. Waiting for your critics to become cheerleaders. That's impossible. Because small minds cannot comprehend large assignments. So you wait. And while you wait, your potential calcifies. Your dreams fossilize. Your assignment goes unfulfilled. And the problem that only your unique design could solve continues to plague humanity because you're still standing at the starting line collecting signatures. You've become a professional waiter. Not the kind that serves food, but the kind that serves excuses. You're waiting for the right time, waiting for the right people, waiting for the right resources, waiting for the right feelings. And while you wait, life is passing. Opportunities are expiring. Your assignment is going to someone else who didn't wait for permission. Let me teach you a principle that will revolutionize your entire existence. The manufacturer never creates without purpose. Never. Not once in the history of creation has God made something and then said, I wonder what that's for. Every product exits the factory with a specific function embedded in its design. A pen doesn't become a pen when someone gives it permission to write. It was manufactured to write. Writing is its nature. Your purpose is not something you achieve through approval. It's something you express through activation. You don't need permission to be what you already are. When a car comes off the assembly line, it doesn't wait for the parking lot to approve before it becomes a vehicle. The manufacturer built it to drive. That's its specification. That's its assignment. And the moment fuel enters its tank and a key turns its ignition, it does what it was designed to do, regardless of whether the garage door thinks it's ready. You are God's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which He prepared beforehand that you should walk in them. Notice the sequence. The works were prepared before you arrived. Your assignment existed before your birth. The manufacturer didn't wait to see how you turned out before deciding your purpose. He embedded your purpose, then constructed you around it. This means your purpose is not conditional on your performance. It's foundational to your design. You don't earn it. You discover it. You don't achieve it through permission. You activate it through obedience. And here's the critical distinction. Discovery doesn't mean you're searching for something external. It means you're uncovering something internal. Your purpose is not out there waiting to be found. It's in here, waiting to be released. The manufacturer buried it inside you before you were born. Your job is not to create it. Your job is to excavate it. But you've been treating your purpose like a career, something you apply for, something you interview for, something you need credentials to qualify for, something you must convince others you're worthy of. No. Your purpose is more like your fingerprint. Nobody gave it to you. Nobody can take it from you. Nobody needs to approve it. It's yours by design. It's unique to you. And it doesn't require validation. It only requires activation. The wealthiest place on earth is not the bank, not the stock market, not the treasury of any nation. It's the cemetery. Because buried in the graveyard are books that were never written because the author waited for a publisher's approval. Songs that were never sung because the singer waited for a record label's permission. Businesses that were never started because the entrepreneur waited for an investor's validation. Inventions that were never created because the innovator waited for an institution's authorization. Solutions that were never implemented because the problem solver waited for a committee's consensus. Ministries that were never launched because the called waited for the board's blessing. Millions upon millions of assignments went unfulfilled, not because people lacked ability, but because they died waiting for permission. And here's the tragedy. The permission they were waiting for was never coming, because the people they were seeking approval from were themselves waiting for permission. It's a cycle of paralysis. A culture of procrastination disguised as wisdom. A graveyard of potential justified as prudence. A cemetery full of people who had the gift but never gave it. Who had the calling but never answered it. Who had the assignment but never executed it. Why? Because they were waiting for someone to tell them they were allowed. Let me give you another principle. Your job is what you're paid for. Your purpose is what you're made for. Don't confuse the two. Many of you are successful in your career, but failing at your assignment. You've climbed the ladder quickly, impressively even. Congratulations. But that ladder is leaning against the wrong building. You make money, but you're not making impact. You're climbing, but toward the wrong destination. You're winning, but at the wrong game. You're busy, but you're not productive. You're active, but you're off assignment. And deep inside, there's this restlessness, this dissatisfaction, this knowing that you're capable of more, designed for more, created for more. You can't shake it. You try to silence it with success. You try to numb it with achievement. You try to bury it with busyness. But it keeps surfacing. That's not depression. That's not ingratitude. That's not a midlife crisis. That's your purpose screaming for attention. That's your assignment demanding activation. That's the manufacturer reminding you that you were made for more than a paycheck. Your employer gave you permission to execute their vision. Your family gave you permission to fulfill their expectations. Your culture gave you permission to maintain the status quo. But nobody gave you permission to become who the manufacturer designed you to be. So you're successful by the world's standards, but bankrupt by kingdom metrics. You're applauded by people, but disappointing to purpose. And that internal conflict is eating you alive. You go to bed restless. You wake up unfulfilled. You achieve and still feel empty because you're climbing the wrong ladder. Here's what you must grasp. You are not a beggar trying to get into heaven. You are royalty trying to remember your original authority. You were manufactured in the image of a king, which makes you a king. And kings don't beg for permission. Kings don't wait for approval. Kings don't seek authorization from their subjects. Kings decree. They declare. They decide. Then they execute. That's kingdom citizenship. That's royal protocol. That's how heaven operates. And you were designed to bring heaven's system to earth. But you've been thinking like a slave when you were manufactured to reign. You've been operating as a servant when you were created as a son. You've been living as a subject when you were born as sovereign. And this identity crisis is costing you your assignment. Stop asking people if you can. Start declaring I must. Stop saying maybe someday. Start saying starting today. Stop waiting for someone to open the door. You have the key. You are the key. Your very existence is the door opening. God doesn't see you as you are. He sees you as you were designed to be. Your current condition is not your original design. The manufacturer judges you by specifications, not current performance. When a car comes off the line dirty, the manufacturer doesn't reject it. He knows what it looks like clean. When it arrives damaged in shipping, he doesn't discard it. He knows what it looked like in the factory. You're not a mistake trying to fix yourself. You're a masterpiece covered in dust. And the dust is called other people's opinions. Let me tell you about a principle that transformed my entire understanding of destiny. A seed must die to become a tree. But here's what most people miss. The seed doesn't die to become something different. It dies to become itself. The tree was always inside the seed. The forest was always in that small shell. Death is not transformation. Death is revelation. What looks like death is actually birth. What feels like loss is actually release. The seed doesn't lose its life when it breaks open. It multiplies it. One seed becomes one tree. One tree produces thousands of seeds. Thousands of seeds become a forest. But none of that happens if the seed refuses to break open because it's waiting for permission from the soil. The soil doesn't give permission. The soil gives opportunity. The seed must decide to die. And when it does, life explodes. That's the death to life principle. You must die to who you were told to be, to become who you were designed to be. You must break open the shell of approval addiction. You must shed the skin of permission seeking. You must bury the old identity that required validation from people who don't even know their own purpose. Because the you that heaven created doesn't need human authorization. That version of you operates on manufacturer specifications. And the manufacturer already said yes. He said yes when he created you. He said yes when he gave you gifts. He said yes when he deposited assignment inside you. The only person who hasn't said yes yet is you. I once met a woman who spent 15 years working in corporate management. She was exceptional at her job, promoted repeatedly, well compensated, respected by peers. But there was this unshakable restlessness. She told me, I feel like I'm wearing someone else's clothes, like I'm living someone else's life. I asked her, what were you doing when you felt most alive? She said, when I was teaching underprivileged children in college, I volunteered at a community center. Those kids had nothing, but when I taught them, something inside me came alive. I've never felt that way in my career. I said, that's not nostalgia. That's your purpose, trying to get your attention. She said, but I can't just quit my job and teach. I have responsibilities, bills, a reputation. What would people think? There it is, permission addiction. She wasn't asking if it was possible. She was asking if people would approve. I told her, you don't need permission to fulfill your assignment. You need courage to disappoint people's expectations of you. 6 months later, she launched a nonprofit that educates at-risk youth. Today, thousands of children have been impacted. But it required her to die to the approval of her corporate peers, to break open the seed of people-pleasing, to stop waiting for permission and start walking in purpose. Consider the eagle. When it's born, it's helpless, weak, dependent. It doesn't look like the king of birds. It looks like prey. But inside that weak exterior is embedded the DNA of a predator. The mother eagle knows this, so she does something that looks cruel. She stirs up the nest, makes it uncomfortable, eventually pushes the young eagle out. And while that eaglet is falling, something activates. Wings that seemed decorative suddenly become functional. Instincts that were dormant suddenly engage. And the eagle that was falling begins to soar. The fall didn't make it an eagle. It revealed that it always was one. Your current crisis is not destroying you. It's revealing you. Your current discomfort is not punishing you. It's pushing you out of a nest you've outgrown. What feels like falling is actually the beginning of flight. But you have to stop waiting for permission from the nest to become what the manufacturer designed. The nest will never approve of your flight because your soaring exposes its limitations. What if I told you that every giant you're facing is actually proof that you're carrying giant killer anointing? What if the size of your opposition is directly proportional to the significance of your assignment? What if the very people who are resisting you are confirming that you're on the right path? Because small purposes don't create big resistance. Kingdom assignments do. World-changing callings do. Destiny-fulfilling purposes do. And the enemy doesn't waste ammunition on people who aren't threatening his territory. Stop. Before I continue, I need to interrupt your thinking. Let me ask you something, and I need you to be honest. How many more years will you allow fear of rejection to keep your potential buried? How many more opportunities will you let pass because you're waiting for someone to tell you you're allowed to seize them? How long will you keep your seeds locked inside you because you don't have permission to plant them? When will you stop asking permission to become who you already are? If something is stirring in you right now, if you feel that restlessness, that dissatisfaction, that holy discontentment with where you are versus where you belong, that's not depression. That's your potential, banging on the door of your consciousness, screaming, "Let me out." That's your assignment, demanding activation. That's the manufacturer reminding you that you were not created to live a mediocre, permission-seeking, approval-addicted life. The wealthiest place on earth is the graveyard. And if you're still listening to me, it's because you refuse to be buried there with your music still inside you. So what do you do now? How do you transition from permission seeker to purpose walker? How do you break the addiction to approval? How do you activate what the manufacturer already authorized? Let me give you the activation sequence. First, wake up. You cannot change what you tolerate. You cannot fix what you deny. You cannot transform what you refuse to acknowledge. The first step is waking up to this truth. Where you are is not where you belong. What you're doing is not what you were made for. Who you're being is not who you were designed to be. This is not about condemnation. This is about confrontation. Wake up. Stop sleepwalking through your assignment. Stop pretending that comfortable is the same as correct. Stop acting like survival equals success. Stop confusing activity with productivity. Stop mistaking busyness for purpose. Wake up to the reality that you were manufactured for more. Most people are asleep to their purpose. They're alive but not awakened, existing but not activated, breathing but not becoming. They go through the motions, they follow the script, they meet the expectations. But they never wake up to who they really are. They die having never lived. They exit earth having never impacted it. They return to dust having never disrupted it. Don't let that be you. Wake up today, right now, this moment. Wake up to the truth that you were not born to be average. You were not designed to be ordinary. You were not manufactured to be mediocre. You were created for kingdom impact, for generational influence, for historical significance. Second, remember, you're not trying to become something new. You're trying to remember something original. Stop building an identity. Start recovering your manufacturer's design. Everything you need is already inside you. Every gift, every talent, every ability, every skill, every capacity required for your assignment was deposited before you were born. You don't need to add anything. You need to activate what's already there. You don't need to become someone different. You need to remember who you originally were before the world told you who to be. Remember who you were before people programmed you with limitations. Remember what excited you before society taught you what to want. Remember the dreams you had before critics convinced you they were impossible. Remember the boldness you had before rejection taught you to play it safe. Remember the faith you had before failure taught you to fear risk. Remember the original you, the manufacturer's version, the uncorrupted blueprint. That's who you're becoming. Not someone new, someone original. Third, decide. This is the moment of truth. Potential without decision is just cemetery material. What separates the graveyard from destiny is one thing: decision. Not talent, not opportunity, not resources, not timing. Decision. Will you die full or die empty? Will you take your seeds to the grave or plant them in the earth? Will you spend your life collecting permission slips or executing your assignment? Will you let approval addiction kill your purpose, or will you let purpose override your need for approval? This is not a small choice. This is the choice. And nobody can make it for you. Not your parents, not your pastor, not your partner, not your peers. This decision belongs to you alone. It's your assignment, your purpose, your life, your choice. Decide today that the graveyard will not have your potential. Decide today that you will not die with your music still in you. Decide today that you will fulfill your assignment regardless of who approves. Decide today that you will stop seeking permission and start walking in purpose. Fourth, act. Knowledge without action is decorated ignorance. You can know all these principles, quote all these truths, memorize all these concepts, attend all the conferences, read all the books, listen to all the messages, and still die with your assignment unfulfilled if you don't act. Information without implementation is just entertainment. Revelation without response is rebellion. Knowledge without obedience is just noise. Find your assignment. Identify the problem you were born to solve. What breaks your heart? What stirs your passion? What injustice infuriates you? What need keeps you up at night? What solution do you keep thinking about? What dream won't leave you alone? That's your assignment. That's the problem only your unique design can solve. That's the gap only your specific gifting can fill. That's the question only your particular calling can answer. Then get up and do it. Stop talking about it. Stop planning it to death. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Stop seeking universal approval. Stop requiring guaranteed outcomes. Start today, now, with what you have, where you are, as you are. Don't wait until you have more money. Start with what's in your hand. Don't wait until you have more time. Redeem the time you're wasting waiting. Don't wait until you have more support. Start with the few who believe. Don't wait until you feel ready. You'll never feel ready. Ready is a feeling that comes after obedience, not before. You were not born to collect paychecks. You were not born to maintain comfort. You were not born to meet expectations. You were not born to fit in. You were not born to be normal. You were not born to follow the crowd. You were born to solve a problem that only your unique design can address. You were born to fill a gap that only your specific gifting can close. You were born to answer a question that only your particular calling can resolve. You were born to bring a solution that only your manufacturer-given assignment can provide. That's your purpose. And it doesn't require anyone's permission. Listen to me. I'm not speaking to who you are. I'm speaking to who you're becoming. I see it. Heaven sees it. The angels see it. The enemy sees it. The only one who doesn't see it yet is you. But something is shifting right now. Something is breaking off. Something is activating. You thought you needed more education. Wrong. The manufacturer already gave you the curriculum. You believed you needed more connections? Wrong. Your assignment will create the network. You assumed you needed more resources? Wrong. Purpose attracts provision. You convinced yourself you needed more time? Wrong. You've had enough time. What you need is decision. You thought you were too young? Wrong. Your age is irrelevant to your assignment. You believed you were too old? Wrong. Moses was 80 when his purpose activated. You assumed you were too broken? Wrong. Your scars qualify you for your assignment. You convinced yourself you were too unqualified? Wrong. The manufacturer doesn't make mistakes. You thought your past disqualified you? Wrong. Your past was preparation. You believed your mistakes canceled your purpose? Wrong. Your failures taught you what success requires. Your birth was not an accident. It was strategic, calculated, deliberate, intentional. Heaven had a problem that only your unique design could solve. The world had a gap that only your specific gifting could fill. Humanity had a question that only your particular calling could answer. That's why you're different. That's why you never fit. That's why normal never satisfied you. That's why average always felt like prison. That's why mediocrity always felt like death. Because you were manufactured for impact. You were designed for influence. You were created for kingdom advancement. You were built for generational transformation. And I prophesy to you today, the graveyard will not have your potential. Your seeds will not die with you. The books will be written. The businesses will be built. The songs will be sung. The inventions will be created. The problems will be solved. The assignments will be completed. The ministries will be launched. The companies will be started. The solutions will be implemented. The dreams will be fulfilled. This is your hour. This is your moment. This is your season. This is your time. What you've been carrying, it's time to birth it. What you've been hiding, it's time to release it. What you've been protecting, it's time to expose it. What you've been hoarding, it's time to give it. What you've been waiting for, stop waiting. The wait is over. The season has shifted. The door has opened. The permission has been granted. Not by people, by the manufacturer. You have permission, not from your parents, not from your peers, not from your critics, not from your culture, not from your circumstances. You have permission from the one who matters. The manufacturer, the creator, the designer, the king. You have authority, not human authority. Kingdom authority, not positional authority. Manufacturing authority. The same authority that created you, authorized you. You have assignment, not a job, not a career, not a position. An assignment, a divine mandate, a kingdom purpose, a manufacturer's specification. The manufacturer already said yes. He said yes when he breathed life into you. He said yes when he formed you in the womb. He said yes when he deposited gifts inside you. He said yes when he embedded assignment in your DNA. He said yes when he positioned you in this generation. He said yes when he connected you with this message. Stop waiting for people to validate what heaven already authorized. Stop seeking approval for what God already ordained. Stop asking permission to become who you already are. Now go. Go and solve the problem you were born to answer. Go and fill the gap you were designed to close. Go and complete the assignment you were manufactured to execute. Go and write the book that's inside you. Go and start the business that keeps you up at night. Go and sing the song that won't leave you alone. Go and create the invention that solves that problem. Go and launch the ministry that serves that need. Go and build the company that provides that solution. Don't ask anyone if you're allowed. Don't wait for conditions to perfect. Don't require everyone to understand. Just go. Because purpose never seeks permission. Purpose simply obeys the manufacturer's original intent. Purpose doesn't wait for approval. Purpose activates on divine authorization. Purpose doesn't require consensus. Purpose moves on kingdom mandate. And you were manufactured with purpose embedded in your design. It's time to activate it. So what do you do now? Let me give you 4 clear instructions. Number 1, identify your assignment. Write it down today, not tomorrow, today. What problem were you born to solve? What gap were you designed to fill? What specific contribution can only you make? What unique solution does your gifting provide? The manufacturer gave you a specific assignment. Stop ignoring it. Stop minimizing it. Stop postponing it. Stop talking yourself out of it. Identify it today. Write it in detail. Make it plain. Number 2, stop waiting for permission. You already have it. The day you were born, heaven authorized your assignment. The moment you drew breath, God approved your purpose. The second you opened your eyes, the manufacturer activated your mandate. You don't need another signature. You don't need additional validation. You don't need more approvals. You don't need better timing. You have manufacturer authorization. That's the only approval that matters. That's the only permission you need. That's the only yes that counts. Number 3, start today. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, not next year, not when you feel ready, not when you have more money, not when you have more time, not when you have more support, not when conditions are perfect, not when everyone agrees. Today, right now, this moment. The graveyard is full of I'll do it later. The cemetery is packed with when the time is right. The grave is stuffed with I'm waiting for the perfect opportunity. Death doesn't wait for your convenience. Time doesn't pause for your comfort. Life doesn't stop for your excuses. Start today with what you have, where you are, as you are. Number 4, die empty. Leave nothing buried. Give earth everything heaven deposited in you. Exhaust your potential. Maximize your gifts. Fulfill your assignment. Complete your purpose. You were not born to be a copy. You were born to be an original. You were not created to be a duplicate. You were created to be a prototype. And the world is waiting for what only you carry. Don't rob humanity of your assignment because you were too afraid to move without permission. Don't cheat your generation out of your solution because you needed approval from people who don't even know their own purpose. Die empty, live fully, give completely, execute totally. Purpose never seeks permission. It simply obeys the manufacturer. And you were manufactured for greatness. You were designed for impact. You were created for significance. Now stop asking if you can and start declaring I must. Stop seeking permission and start walking in purpose. The manufacturer already said yes. Now it's your turn.